So at the 10 spot, I have Steph Curry coming in as the greatest shooter of all time, one of the greatest offensive players of all time. I have him as the 10th greatest player. I just had him edging out Wilt on my top 10. I think now we can kind of just discuss our who we have at 10. I think for me, Wilt, the area he played in, I just pushed him down a little bit for me. And the competition he had. So it pushed him down to I had him just outside at 11. I had Curry at 10.
I had Curry at 11. So that was the tough decision for me. Was that decision, but I went with Wilt at 10.
I have Steph Curry. I have him very high, but the reason I have him very high is because he's the best shooter ever. He's the only unanimous MVP in league history. He has 4 rings. He has 1 Finals MVP. He has permanently changed basketball, I would say, with his influence on the three-point shot. The best regular season ever issued was 73-9 without Kevin Durant. That was that unanimous MVP season. Also, he's the only dude on my entire list under 6'5" who's in my top 10. He's 6'2", and you could very consciously argue that he's the best scorer of all time because I think he has top 5 handles ever. He's not like one of the best when it comes to driving to the paint, but the way he's so like slithery, he can get a lot of like those Elgin Baylor hook shots. I think he's probably the most entertaining player in the league right now. Entertainment doesn't make you the best, but the fact that he makes basketball look so fun, I think says a lot about like what he's done for the game.
Since Steph Curry won that last championship, it's become a very popular topic to say Steph Curry is better than Magic Johnson. I think Steph Curry has the opportunity to get that high if he plays a lot longer and wins more championships. But I don't think right now as we speak, I don't think it's particularly close to Curry. Just because the 5 championships to 4, that's, it's a 1 championship difference. But Magic Johnson played 13 seasons, never missed the playoffs. He made 12 All-Star games. He was compare that to 9 for Steph Curry. Steph Curry has made the playoffs 9 times in 14 seasons. The 3 MVPs to 2, 3 Finals MVPs to Steph Curry's 1, 9 first-team All-NBA teams for Magic Johnson to Steph Curry's 4, 10 All-NBA teams to Curry's 9. The Curry has him in the scoring, obviously, because that just wasn't the player Magic Johnson was. So that's 2 scoring titles to 0. But Magic Johnson, the 4-time assist leader. Magic Johnson's career assists or career numbers are 27 and 11 to Curry's 24, 4 and 6. I just think the Magic Johnson being able to defend all 5 positions in his prime and being arguably the greatest passer of all time, and being that leader on 5 different championships, never missing the playoffs. I think the biggest knock for me on Curry is every time the Clay or Draymond are hurt, Curry doesn't make the playoffs. Curry only makes the playoffs when he has a help. So I think Curry, obviously number 10 on my list, and one of the top 10 greatest players of all time, greatest shooter of all time, arguably the greatest scorer of all time. I don't think, if we speak right now, that the argument between Curry and Magic.
Yeah, I agree.
The only hypothetical scenario to which Curry could get a little bit of credence is when people make their like hypothetical dream starting 5s. Sometimes they'll include Curry over Magic in their dream starting 5 just because of the shooting, not because he's a superior player. That's just a hypothetical scenario that doesn't edge him in the top 10 ever. But both are irrefutably must shows in top 10.
And people used to argue that, well, I think it's a fair argument that I don't think Curry could play in the old eras that Magic played in. People used to argue that Magic wouldn't succeed in this current era because of his shooting. But I think that's kind of changed as players like LeBron and LeBron and Jokic, sorry. I think we're seeing that Magic Johnson could have definitely succeeded in this current era, and just that size of it.
Yeah, and also the 3-point line being closer would have lend itself to Curry having an easier range. However, the physicalness of like hand checking and then what was considered a foul in yesterday's game versus today's game, I do agree. Curry would not put up the numbers he's putting up then. I still think he would demonstrate the best shooting ability, but back then, like during Jordan's era, the number one 3-point shooter for, I think it was like the 72-10 season, was averaging like 4 3-point shots a game, like takes, not necessarily makes. So it was considered a bad shot. And the NBA even like moved the 3-point line up experimentally for like a season or two. They then reverted it back to normal, but I concur with everything you guys have said.